Ever looked around at all 7.8 billion of us crowding this planet and thought, wow, humans are unstoppable? Well, think again. What if I told you that once, not too long ago in the grand scheme of things, our entire species was staring extinction right in the face? We're talking numbers so low, you could fit the entire breeding population of Earth into a single, small village. This isn't science fiction. This is the story of how you, me, everyone we know, are the descendants of a handful of survivors who clawed their way back from the brink. This is how humans almost went extinct 70,000 years ago. You need to hear this. So, picture this. 70,000 years ago. The Pleistocene epoch. Ice ages are in full swing. Giant beasts roam the earth. Woolly mammoths, saber-toothed cats, giant sloths. You get the picture. Our ancestors, Homo sapiens, were around, but we weren't exactly top dogs yet. We were scattered, mostly across Africa, with maybe a few brave groups venturing into the Middle East and Asia. We're talking small, nomadic bands of hunter-gatherers, maybe a few tens of thousands of us in total, globally. That's less than the crowd at a decent football game. Life was tough. Every day was a struggle for survival against predators, the elements, and finding that next meal. But our ancestors were smart, adaptable, and social. They were making tools, controlling fire, developing language. They were on their way. Then, the sky fell. Deep in what we now call Sumatra, Indonesia, a mountain was stirring. This wasn't just any mountain. This was a supervolcano. Its name? Toba. And around 74,000 years ago, Toba didn't just erupt. It exploded with a force almost impossible to comprehend. We're talking a volcanic explosivity index, or VI, of 8. That's the highest, most apocalyptic score on the scale. Think Mount St. Helens? That was a VI 5. Krakatoa? A 6. Toba was hundreds, if not thousands, of times more powerful than those. Imagine this. Toba didn't just spew lava. It unleashed an estimated 2,800 cubic kilometers of volcanic ash and rock. That's enough material to bury the entire state of Texas knee-deep. Or, to put it another way, imagine a colossal shotgun blast aimed directly at the atmosphere. This blast ripped a hole in the earth over 100 kilometers long and 30 kilometers wide, the Lake Toba caldera we see today. The immediate vicinity? Utter annihilation. Pyroclastic flows, superheated clouds of gas, ash, and rock traveling at hundreds of kilometers per hour, would have incinerated everything within a massive radius. But the real horror for our ancestors, scattered thousands of miles away, was just beginning. That colossal cloud of ash didn't just settle. It billowed upwards, miles into the stratosphere, and began to spread. Across the Indian subcontinent, ash fell like a choking, gray snow, meters deep in some places, burying landscapes, poisoning water sources, and wiping out vegetation. Imagine looking up and seeing the sun, your life giver, blotted out by a sky thick with volcanic debris, not for a day, not for a week, but for months, possibly even years. Scientists drilling ice cores in Greenland, thousands of miles away, have found a distinct layer of Toba's ash, a calling card from this ancient catastrophe. The evidence is undeniable. This wasn't just a regional disaster. The sheer volume of sulfur gases pumped into the atmosphere was catastrophic on a global scale. These gases formed aerosols that reflected sunlight back into space, triggering what's known as a volcanic winter. Global average temperatures plummeted, by some estimates, as much as 3 to 5 degrees Celsius, maybe even more in some regions. Think of the coldest winter you've ever experienced. Then imagine it lasting for 6, 7, maybe even 10 years, followed by decades of a generally colder, harsher climate. For our ancestors, living precariously on the edge, this was an extinction-level event. With the sun dimmed and temperatures dropping, ecosystems worldwide collapsed. Plants withered, unable to photosynthesize. Animals that depended on those plants starved. And the humans who depended on both? They faced a desperate fight for survival. Across Africa, Asia, and any other corners of the world our species had reached, populations would have crashed. Imagine trying to find fruit when all the trees are barren, or hunt animals that have already succumbed to starvation or the cold. The air itself would have been a hazard, filled with fine, sharp ash particles causing devastating lung damage, silicosis, to any creature that breathed it in. This is where we get to the chilling numbers. Genetic studies of modern human DNA show something remarkable, a bottleneck. Our genetic diversity is surprisingly low compared to other primate species. It's as if our entire ancestral population was squeezed through an incredibly narrow opening. Some scientists theorize that the global human population may have crashed to as few as 3,000 to 10,000 individuals. Others suggest the number of breeding pairs could have been as low as a few hundred. Think about that. A world where almost every human alive could know every other human. We were hanging on by a thread. One more disease, one more failed hunt, and humanity could have been snuffed out forever. How did anyone survive this living hell? The survivors were likely small, isolated groups, perhaps in more sheltered pockets of Africa, or areas where the ashfall was less severe, or where they could access resilient food sources like coastal shellfish beds. These weren't necessarily the strongest or the biggest, but the most adaptable, the most cooperative, and probably the luckiest. Imagine the immense pressure. Every decision mattered. Sharing dwindling resources, innovating new ways to find food in a devastated world, protecting the young, these would have been paramount. Perhaps this intense filter favored groups with stronger social bonds, better communication, and greater ingenuity. This bottleneck, this near-extinction event, didn't just shape our numbers, it shaped us. The genetic makeup of everyone alive today is a direct legacy of those few thousand survivors. We are all descendants of the toughest, most resourceful humans who ever lived, those who stared into the abyss of a volcanic winter and refused to fall. It took thousands of years for human populations to recover. But recover they did. And when they emerged from this global catastrophe, they were perhaps, in some ways, even better equipped to face the challenges of a harsh world, eventually leading to the global expansion that saw Homo sapiens conquer the planet. So, 70,000 years ago, a single volcanic eruption pushed humanity to the very edge of oblivion. We faced a global winter, starvation, and a population crash that left fewer ancestors for all of us than currently live in many small towns. It's a humbling thought, isn't it? The story of Toba isn't just a dramatic tale from the prehistoric past. It's a profound lesson in resilience, but also a chilling reminder of our planet's immense power and our own vulnerability. We, today, with all our technology and knowledge, are the children of those who survived. That desperate struggle, that fight for the future of our species, is etched into our very DNA. Next time you feel overwhelmed, remember, you come from a line of ultimate survivors. They faced a world plunged into darkness and cold, and they endured. Makes our daily struggles seem a little different, doesn't it? Thanks for watching. For more deep dives into the past, subscribe and stay curious.